We live in an age of anxiety, confusion, and turmoil. We have a sense that we're sitting on a powder keg, one small match, and kaboom. Leaders feel bombarded by interest groups and agitators, and when institutions fall prey to the spirit of appeasement, paralysis, and excuse-making, the most mature and motivated members begin to quietly drift away. My hope and prayer is that God will use this simple course to encourage and strengthen Christian leaders so that we rebuild the walls of Christendom and show forth the excellencies of the living God in the joy and gladness of our families, our churches, our schools, and our communities.
That's not Handel's Messiah.
I know.
Weak, wimpy, and woke.
It is.
I hope you're none of those three. None of those three.
Like this music.
Unfortunately, today.
For Advent.
Yeah.
That is true.
I'll take that one, guys.
You started out
Give
so
it out
strong.
to me. Yeah, I know.
You started out so strong.
Yeah, this is depressing.
Hey, y'all, welcome to Cross Politics on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Pastor Toby Chalk Knox. I'm the water boy. And we got our boy John Cooper from Skillet
boy.
coming on to talk weak, wimpy, and woke in the music industry.
Yeah. The mission of Armored Republic is to honor Christ by equipping free men with tools of liberty necessary to preserve God-given rights. In the Armored Republic, there's no king but Christ. Well, that's true just everywhere. But we are free craftsmen. Body armor is a tool of liberty. They create tools of liberty. Free men must remain ever vigilant against tyranny wherever it appears. God has given us the tools of liberty needed to defend the rights he's bestowed upon us. And Armored Republic is honored to offer you those tools with body armor in particular. Visit them today at AR500armor.com. It's AR500armor.com. And don't forget to check out This America episode.
Yeah, with David Reese.
With Gabe and the CEO of Armored Republic. All pub members have access to This America. And the first episode was with AR500 in their
production facilities.
Production facilities is fantastic.
And after this interview, you might need to send John some body armor just to make sure he's good.
We got him covered. We got him covered.
Make sure we got him covered. Hey, club members. It's Christmas,
and so we're doing a giveaway.
We're doing a giveaway.
Show in December, we're doing a giveaway. It's Christmas, it's Advent, and if you're not a pub member, you can join. And join, and as soon as you're joined, your name's thrown into the giveaway.
Yeah, and then at the finale, the finale giveaway
at the Wive Show
we're giving away 30 tickets to a club member of and their friends.
30 tickets
to come to our Prodigal America
or their enemies.
Conference.
They can give it to their enemies.
Fight Laugh Feast 2024.
I mean, if you know Joe Biden, give him a ticket.
Yeah.
Fight Laugh Feast 2024. Prodigal America.
Give him a ticket.
30.
Kevin DeYoung. You can give Kevin DeYoung one of your tickets.
And all his elders.
He has a free invite. No, we already got him covered.
Yeah, he's covered.
He's covered.
He's a free invite. That's true.
Yeah.
So
ready?
For this giveaway,
what are we doing?
We got a husband and wife T-shirt, or son and daughter T-shirt, however you want to do
brother
it.
Brother
sister, whatever. Yeah.
And gentleman and a young lady you're interested in.
And that's
nice.
Little Christmas cross politics courtship action.
That's how you win. And then our magazine is also going with it too.
Magazine. All right. Here we go. Drum roll.
And the winner is Tashlin W. Tashlin.
Why is it always so anticlimactic?
Yeah.
Every last one has been.
Tashlin. So club member Tashlin W.
All right, Tashlin.
All right. Geo coordinates are. I'm just kidding.
I still think we need to have a state. Give us a state.
I'll have to. I just. This is not the list I pulled with all the data and everything.
All right. Anyways, Tashlin, congratulations and Merry Christmas from Cross Politics.
Yes.
We're very grateful to have with us on the show Mr. John Cooper is the lead vocalist, bassist, songwriter, producer for Skillet, one of the best-selling rock bands of the 21st century.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, his last album was Post Mill.
He is.
Like, it was.
He is passionate about sharing the truth of Christ to the world through music, the popular Cooper Stuff podcast.
It is very popular.
Skillet graphic novels. He's been doing graphic novels. I didn't know that.
I didn't know about the novels.
His best-selling book, Awake and Alive to Truth, and a brand new book out, Wimpy, Weak, and Woke. John, thanks for joining us on Cross Politic.
What is up? It's cool to be back with you guys.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Cool background.
Absolutely, man. We really appreciate you coming on. So back in October, Derek Webb wore a dress to the Dove Awards, and he had this to say about it.
Why did I wear a dress to the Dove Awards? As a cis, straight, white man, I walk into a room like that, and any room with an incredible amount of advantage and privilege. If I'm attending as an ally of friends and colleagues, I should do everything possible to surrender that privilege at the door. If the way you look at my loved ones isn't the way you look at me, I'm not truly standing with them. It's like Stan Mitchell says, if you claim to be someone's ally but aren't getting hit by the stones thrown at them, you aren't standing close enough. Plus, I have amazing legs.
John, so what's your response to Derek Webb?
I mean, it's just really funny. I haven't talked about this in a little while. It's like I play in a band. I want to play music. I want to play some rock and roll, and I want to write songs about something I believe in. I never thought in a million years I would have to comment on something like this, and I really didn't want to. And in fact, when somebody first said, "Hey, do you want to comment on this?" I said, "No, I don't care about Derek Webb. I literally never ever think about this guy. I didn't even know Caedmon's Call. I heard of them. We played together once or twice. I could not sing you a single Caedmon's Call song. I listen to rock and metal. I don't listen. I have nothing to do with this." And I was praying about it, and I was like, I don't really know if I want to. But a friend of mine, who is a minister, he said, "John, I think you really need to." And I said, "I don't want to give this guy any more attention." And I decided to say something. And his video that you just played, I think it's got over 2 million views. So I do think it was what the Lord wanted me to do. I was just tired of responding to Derek because I just don't take him seriously. I guess what I would say is when you watch that video, that video expresses what it means to be wimpy, weak, and woke, all in one video. It's such a dumb thing to say, like, well, because I love people and they're getting made fun of that, I'm just going to dress like a woman and do this. All it is about attention. And that's what I said. And my response to him was just sort of like, he wouldn't go show up at a Muslim music celebration dressed as a woman. Right. You know, he wouldn't go to a bar mitzvah of a friend dressed as a woman just to try to just say, I'm an ally and I'm so special and nice. He wouldn't do that because even then it would be like the laws of intersectionality would come in and demand that you never offend a Muslim person. So he wouldn't do that. It's just for attention, and it's so that he can burn down Christianity, so he can burn down something beautiful. It reminds me of Fight Club. I don't know if you remember in Fight Club, but there was a time when the Brad Pitt character said when he beat up who's the singer for 30 Seconds to Mars that he beat up really bad and broke his teeth, and somebody said why, and he said, I felt like beating up something beautiful. And that's what this is. That's all that this is. But the reason it's so sad is because Christians are so wimpy that they go, oh, he does really have a point there though, doesn't he? No, he doesn't have a point. It's ridiculous. So Christians got to man up.
Derek, I'm not familiar.
No pun intended.
I'm not familiar with the Dove Awards, but was Derek invited to the Dove Awards? It's just anybody can kind of come, kind of thing.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So I do think it's worth making clear because I spent a lot of time going off on the Christian music industry. And I'm happy to do it today, guys. They deserve it, and a lot of the people in there really deserve to be rebuked. But I do want to be clear about this. No, it's not like they invited him. It's not like they say, "Hey, we really want you to come. We welcome you." They didn't roll out the red carpet. Anybody can get tickets and go. So somebody has said to me, "Has there ever been a drag queen come to the Dove Awards?" And I'm like, I don't know, and I have no idea. There could have been. And if there was at some point, more than likely, no one would have said anything. The reason this is different is because this was done from somebody, not to mention an apostate who literally spends every day of his life trying to tear down the faith. I mean, it's like, this is the definition of an enemy of the church. coming in trying to tear this down. And so it deserved to be speak. But no, it wasn't like he was invited or anything like that. So I have a lot of ire for a lot of people in the industry, but I want to be fair when I can.
Yeah, so I got one follow-up question on that.
You're hogging the mic.
I know. Because I'm curious, because I have friends in the music industry. I've been around friends in the music industry who've been successful for years. And it seems to me that the leaders in the music industry don't speak out. And if you don't speak against these kind of things, all you're doing is incentivizing more of it. And so now you got John Cooper, like this guy, and this rock band in the music industry. You're a leader in the industry because you're successful, but you aren't a leader in the sense that you're at the top of the Dove Awards or whatever, running the Dove Awards kind of thing. So why aren't they speaking out? Why is John kind of in his corner?
I want to frame. I'm going to hijack your question.
Go ahead.
And John, I'm going to ask you, if you were the one running the Dove Awards and he shows up in the dress, are you letting him in?
That's a great question. I got to be honest with you. I don't know what I would do. I remember Matt Walsh saying, they should have security take this guy out, and I was like, I don't even know if that's legal. Like, I don't know how this works. I think, do you buy tickets, and is that even a legal thing to do? But I do think that Gabe's question is really important, because I hope you guys don't mind if I go down a couple of different rabbit trails.
We're with you. Do it.
Okay. The first thing I would say is this: what we really, really need is we need legacy artists or people who have a lot of influence in the industry to say something, and they won't. And that really saddens me a great deal. Okay, when I say legacy artists, I'm talking about someone like Michael W. Smith. Now, Michael W. Smith did come out during the Ohio vote for the abortion thing about a month ago or whenever that was. He did come out of that, and I praised him for that. I affirmed it. I said we need more people to do this. But in general, they don't like to do those kinds of things. And I think that we're at a point where they really need to. But I think that what is going on that's even more serious about this, if I can go down this rabbit trail again, I have a lot of ire for a lot of what's going on in Christian music. But really, I think I'm more upset with what's going on with our big Eva leaders, with the sort of institutional church leaders. Let me give you an example if I can. And I hope you don't mind if I name some names, but here we go.
Do it.
I came out pretty hard against it. There's a worship song a few years ago called Reckless Love. And that was the hook, the reckless love of God.
I love that song.
I'm glad you.
I love it. It's so good.
It's based off Psalm 159.
Well, you want to know what's funny? It's actually based. I think it's based off something that made me even more upset. So I was pretty hard on that song when I was studying for my book last year. I started reading a book called Prodigal God by Tim Keller. In the introduction of the book, he's explaining what he means by prodigal God. And he's not using the definition of prodigal meaning wayward. He's using a definition for prodigal that means a reckless spendthrift. And he's saying that the prodigal son was prodigal because he was a reckless spendthrift. He spent everything he had trying to get what he wanted. And similarly, Keller says, God, the Father, did the same. He's a reckless spendthrift. He gave everything he had, his son. He couldn't have given anything more than he gave so that we would come to God. So that makes God prodigal. And then Tim Keller says it is the reckless grace of God. So I'm reading it, and all of a sudden I had a light bulb moment.
Wow.
How can I go off on Christian worship artists? They're not theologians. They're not pastors. We're just a bunch of people that love music. We love God. We don't necessarily know the best way to say stuff. We are being discipled by people who are saying a lot of really confusing things. Yeah. Now, I could go down the line for all, I could say the same when it comes to sexuality. How do you expect Christian musicians to be clear on sexuality when this is something that really irritates me? If you had 5 theologians, if you had Doug Wilson and you guys, and then you take people on the other side from a different stream, Frank Turek or Elisa Childers or whoever, Michael Brown. You took all these theologians and they all listened to Preston Sprinkle talk about sexuality, all 5 of those theologians would be like, I'm not really sure what he's saying. How do you expect Christian musicians to be sure about this when our leaders can't even really say clearly what biblical ethics are? So I have a lot of ire for the Christian musicians, but I got to be honest, I'm really tired of the institutional elites that say things they say with so many caveats. I don't even know what they're talking about. So I do think that Christian artists, the legacy artists, I think some of them don't want to speak, but I got to be honest, I think a lot of Christian artists don't know what they believe about these issues because they're not being told clearly by their church leaders. That's my soapbox.
That's actually a really good point.
That's a really good soapbox.
Yeah, no, it's so funny. I think the person who was on to this was Francis Schaeffer. When he talked about how we get things in the culture, it comes from the ivory towers. And if our ivory towers, in one way or another, are not being clear, or they're giving us down, commode theology, then what do you expect to come out of the mouths of the artists?
That's right.
Right? And that's what and a lot of that is what we're getting. We're not getting that. And so I think you're right. We're seeing it come out and we're like, wow, what's wrong with this guy? It was like, well, there's something upstream that's bothering us.
His pastor.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Right.
So then, I guess in one sense or another, do you deal with how to work through that process? If that's where
in your book,
if that's where the problem is, how do we fix that?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of great people doing a lot of really great work. I mean, I think that you guys are some of those people. Of course, I mentioned Doug Wilson. This is, what perfectly exemplified, you alluded to it a second ago, but just within these last few days, as we've seen this whole, so you have the Kevin DeYoung thing with Doug Wilson, and I've been following that. It blew me away because I was like I had a light bulb moment because the amount of pushback I've gotten just for the book title. By the way, here's what my book looks like.
Yeah, we don't have a
copy. On the
copy.
Screen right here.
We don't have a copy in our hands that's signed by you. I don't know.
All right. I sent Gabe a link and I said, and so I'll send him a link and we'll make sure we.
No, I got it. Yeah. I filled it out. We just.
Oh, you did.
We just haven't got the book yet.
So it's on me. So it's not on Gabe. It's on me.
I don't know.
Let's blame Gabe.
I didn't want to bring this up. I should have told Knox before the show.
I just I'm going to have a signed book by my guy. It's going to be. Last time we talked, I just want you to know, last time we talked, my beard was moisturized and you preserved my sexy because you sent me some nice little wax cream. I don't even have that right now. I'm just saying, like.
Well, you do look good, David. And David, you know what? You're the only one with any style in class over there. Come on.
Whatever you say is true.
Oh man, that's funny. I will make sure and hook you guys up with all the above. But yeah, the pushback I've gotten from Christians just from the name of the book, I'm so dumb and naive. I was sort of like, I don't understand why they're so mad about this. I explain what I mean by it. Why don't they give me an actual critique? And when I saw what was happening with Kevin DeYoung, who, by the way, I thought, first of all, Doug Wilson did an incredible job on his blog and Mablog, responding so generous and gracious. It was brilliant. And I agree with him. I like Kevin DeYoung. I don't know. I haven't read a ton, but I really like what I've read. So we're friends. We're brothers. Let's figure this out. But what it did to me is it showed us this real break where we have the winsome crowd. Yeah. Sometimes we call it the third way crowd. Mm-hmm. And I do talk about it in the book. I think that the third wayers are leading us down incredibly bad, really bad paths. And I know, I think their hearts are probably in the right place. I think they really believe that we can find a way to reach the culture for Christ. And, I have a pastor friend of mine who's a really wonderful friend, a wonderful man of God. I admire him. Honest to God, lives a much holier life than I do. I want to be like him. But this is the issue that we disagree with. And he's always saying to me, yeah, John, but the Bible says, he who wins souls is wise. You have to find ways to win people. And so he's always using that scripture more like the Kevin DeYoung side for people that are in on the inside baseball. Mm-hmm. And I keep saying to him, well, I agree. That's what the Bible says, but I don't think that's what the Bible means when we're talking about winning souls. And I look at the whole proverb. What the proverb, if I'm no exegete, but what it seems like it's saying to me That proverb starts by saying that God detests unequal weights and measures. And then it goes to talking about righteousness, living a holy life, and the fruit of the tree. So it is the good fruit of living in righteousness. And that fruit looks so good and tastes so good that it is winning souls. It's not saying that we need to begin to give 5,000 caveats in order to be unclear, in order to make sinners think that we're basically on their side. And all that I see with the third wayers that drives me nuts is that they always want to act like they agree with the people on the traditional side. I'm going to call them the right, okay? I'm not talking about the political right, even though there's political ramifications, obviously. Right. But they kind of say, I pretty much agree with you guys on the right. I just don't like you. And I don't I don't like the way you come across. Yeah. I don't want to hang out with you. Yeah. I don't want people to think that I like you. And so I'm going to act like I agree with people on the left, even though I think they're probably actually wrong. And I kind of do like them. And I would feel more comfortable hanging out with people on the left who do really demonic and maybe evil things and maybe even hate our religion and might even bastardize the gospel. And then I would hanging out with a Christian brother in Christ that I agree on that just sometimes sounds like a stick in the mud. That blows my mind. So I don't know if I necessarily deal with in the book other than to show the fruit of the third way approach there, and just in order to say there really is no third way. All the third way does is bring the church left. And there is not one example I can think of that hasn't, proven to be the case.
John, it seems like a kind of one of the things that's kind of lurking behind all of this is empathy, which has been one of these big.
Yes.
It's sort of a modern. It's part of the modern gospel basically is you have to empathize. Derek Webb is talking that way.
He's got a chapter on this.
I'm getting there. Oh, okay. I'm getting there. I know.
Well, let the man set it up, Gabe. Let the man work. Let the man work.
Man, my bad.
But Derek Webb says you got to stand with them. You're talking about even these these Christians who say, I probably agree with you, but I need to stand with these people, and we need to present the gospel in a way that basically tries to say I'm basically with you. I'm basically on your side, and in some way win them to something. So, you in your book you say empathy is the one commandment to rule them all. So how is empathy this master ring of the woke movement?
Yeah, I think it's really funny. It's sort of like empathy is now like a super commandment that reigns above the 10 commandments. It's like. It's so sissified. I mean, it's just such a wimpy and frankly feminine way to look at things. And I think that I don't even mean it's really funny. I've never been called macho my entire life up until the last year. And people are like, you're trying to seem macho. And I'm like, I think that you just hate men. I think that you just don't know what it's like to be a guy. This is just the way guys grew up. We make fun of each other. We say what we mean. And all of a sudden, it's so out of style. I have a theory. I don't know if this theory is true. I asked Elisa Childers once if she agreed with me because she had written something. I don't remember what she had wrote, but I said to her on a podcast, I said, let me ask you this. Do you think that maybe part of what is going on is that, by the way, I might just be making this up and I'm not all that smart, but you have the seeker movement that began in the early 2000s. Yeah. The seeker movement to me seems so much like the winsome third way. They have the same goal, which is that we have to stop saying what's true in the way that the apostles said what was true in order to win people for Christ. Mm-hmm, and so we're going to do a bunch of different stuff. And so the seeker movement starts. The feminization of culture is happening. A lot more women are going to church than men. A lot of dudes are like, I don't really want to go to church, but women are usually more deeply spiritual than men, it seems like. So now a bunch of women are going, and now we have the self-help movement starts, and we have the New Age movement in the early 2000s. And then you have basically a bunch of pastors that are going, how do I get more people in? there's more women coming anyway. We all need to sound like women, and we need to preach in a way that women can understand. And so they have it's like everything is couched with so many caveats. And all of a sudden we've gotten to a place where when Derek Webb comes on and says, hey, it's not that I like dressing like a woman, but this is just what it means to show somebody how deeply I love them.
That's right.
You have a lot of Christians all of a sudden go, oh, that actually is really a loving thing to do, without having the brain power to follow that to its logical conclusion. Yep. Is there anything that you aren't willing to do to show that you love your neighbor? Yep. Is there a certain way that what if you have a friend that wants to be a nudist? Do you think, are you going to show up in the nude just to show that you love them as well? Mm-hmm. Are you going to dress like a little girl? Are you going to wear a diaper? And it's just like, you guys, we can't be so stupid about this. And this idea that Jesus he basically was just empathy personified. That is such an unbiblical version of Jesus. It's just not helping.
John, have you caught Joe Rigney's stuff on empathy?
No, I haven't.
I should text you some.
Send him some links. We just had Joe Rigney on recently, and he did a man rampant show with Doug.
5 years ago or something
on the sin of empathy, and has been working, and it has a new series out at Canon Plus also on leadership in an age of empathy, basically. Oh
wow!
So I think you were right over the target, man. And if you keep talking like this, you're going to get in big trouble.
Yeah. Well, and I actually kind of wish that Kevin DeYoung would be a little more empathetic towards us. I mean, because we really are the victim in all this and misunderstood, and that he should be empathetic towards us.
Yeah.
So,
thanks.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to read this ad. Are you subscribed to our Cross Politic email list? If you're not, you really should be. Being subscribed to our email list means you won't miss any updates about Cross Politic or the Fight Laugh Feast Network.
Even if we get canceled.
You'll hear about what's on the schedule for the week, live events, conference updates, rowdy Christian merch, and updates from our other shows within the Fight Laugh Feast Network. And you'll hear from sponsors of the show as they seek to take dominion for God's kingdom in the business world. So to subscribe, simply enter your email address at the bottom of the page at fightlaughfeast.com. So go to fightlaughfeast.com, scroll down, enter your email address, never miss an email from us. Again, that's fightlaughfeast.com.
John, I just, one of the things that we were talking about, one of the things that I learned from Tom Askell, he was having a debate with somebody, and he separated the idea of theology and grammar, and somebody was making a grammatical error. He's like, you don't have a theological problem, you have a grammar problem. Like, this is a grammar problem. Yeah. And as soon as I heard Derek Webb and saw what he was doing and heard his reason for doing it, I started to separate what he was doing. It's like, there's a theological issue here for sure, but there's also a logical error here that's very, very important. It's like, would he show up to the BET Awards with blackface on?
Yeah.
Or what if he showed up to the Dove Awards and he's like, you know what, I want to stand with all my black people, and he's blackfacing them. Yeah. And it's like, well, no. How about we don't do that? Because I got nervous. I'm like, don't become a supporter of black folks.
don't especially with that dress
come
on.
Here to help us. Like, I don't know what you might do, bro. Just to be honest with you. Right. And so there's that problem. All right, so John, where can people get your book at, and when are we getting our copy?
Okay. All right. Number one, I love what you just said, and I wouldn't mind saying one last thing on that.
Go for it.
Do it.
I got slammed so hard, which I'm not complaining about. Whatever. Let's go for it. I'm bigger than all these people, so it doesn't matter.
Come on. Come on.
And I mean physically bigger, like I will threaten them. All right. Anyway, no, I'm just joking.
No, you're not.
He's so macho.
Yeah, I'm so macho.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. Couple things I want to say because I know you guys will like it. So I got slammed so hard in the industry for coming out and saying something about the whole Derek Webb situation. There's a really I can't say who, this was a private Facebook thing, but a pretty prominent manager that was speaking out against me doing that. He was saying, you're just causing all these problems. That's not the sort of thing that Jesus did. We shouldn't be causing this drama. And I said to him exactly, David, what you just said. I said, so are you saying then next year, if some sort of quote unquote Christian white supremacist artist shows up in blackface or shows up in KKK, that you're going to be like, we don't need to say anything about that. Said, of course you wouldn't. You'd be the first one doing it. Why? Because the world wants you to. Right. You guys are taking you're taking your moral cues from the world 100%. Instead of from the Bible. And I'm really tired of it. And going back into this wimpiness thing, I want to say one last thing, and then I'll tell people they can go get the book. Because you were saying, somebody had asked me about what does the book say to kind of say, how do we get out of this thing that we're in? I love pastors, by the way. I think there are thousands and thousands and thousands of faithful pastors. I love you. You are doing the work. It is a thankless job, and I thank you and I love you. The institutional leadership, the third wayers, the ones that are the big Eva folks that are confusing us, they need to begin to ask themselves some questions. And they're really simple questions, and they are in the book. It would be things like, why do I want to act like I like the secular atheist left more than I like the Orthodox Christian right? Why do you want to do that, bro? One of my really good friends who's a pastor, that every time I talk about things that you guys would talk about, taking the Bible and saying, okay, how does this apply to the civil realm? Every time he starts freaking out about theonomy, and I'm like, I didn't even bring up the word theonomy. And then he starts saying, I know what you want to do. You want to stone gay people. And I said to him one time, hey, can I ask you a question? Would you answer me this? Riddle me this, Pastor. How come every time you have an issue with theonomy, the first thing you go to is stoning gay people? Why don't you go to stoning adulterers? Why don't you go to stoning children who slap their parents? Why don't you go to stoning those who blaspheme? Why do you escape all of those things and go straight to stoning the gay person? I think we know why. Because empathy is your super commandment. Because the world says it has to be. Wow. Woo! Don't make me do a Holy Ghost dance up in here, David.
I got you. I got you covered. I got all the things right here. We can do. You preach. We got to have the ham and organ like on the Just Thinking podcast. That's right.
Anyway, all that to say, I think that those are some good questions. I am all for people finding loving ways to communicate. Let's don't find the harshest way to communicate biblical truth. Let's find a loving way to do it. But right now, I think that we've just chosen winsomeness over truth. Yeah. And that is what I mean in the book when I talk about wimpy. So just last thing I'll say, wimpy means choosing winsomeness over truth. Weak means being theologically so weak that we are apologizing for the character of God. Yeah. We're not ashamed of Jesus, but we are ashamed of his character. That's weak. And woke, everybody knows what woke is, so I won't say. So everybody go to johnlcooper.com. That's the only place you can get the physical book right now. If you want the Kindle version, you can get it on Amazon. Otherwise, go to johnlcooper.com. I will make sure and hook you guys up with a sweet package. And by the way, keep up the good work, you guys.
Brother, you too, man. Very grateful for you, brother. Pray for you always. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, if you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. Not wimpily. This is Cross Politics. Is that a word? It is now.
Yeah.
It is now.
It's a good thing he didn't name his book like Wuss.
I was going to say wuss. Yeah, that's exactly.
Hey, Christian Dad. Are you paying a monthly fee to let Hollywood producers pump their septic tanks directly into your living room? Even worse, directly into your imagination and the imaginations of your children. How much darkness streams into your home every day, every week? Have you gotten too used to turning your mind off when you put your feet up? Have you invited your own enemies into your home? How much damage has already been done to you and to your family?
My heart says that the way I feel most myself is to go by the name Fred. That's because I'm non-binary.
Canon Plus is building a global platform with one simple goal: to create and deliver great content that will help Christian families grow stronger and more dangerous in the world, Content that will kick your brain's butt and help you bear down and step up. Content that will encourage, equip, educate, challenge, and inspire your family. Content built on the bedrock of real truth, real goodness, not fake trendy virtues.
How dare you!
And real, lasting beauty. Your family might already be struggling. Maybe the man of the house has been sipping too much Bud Light Gospel in the basement for too long.
It's day 6 of girlhood!
But it's not too late. With thousands of audiobooks, podcasts, truth-telling documentaries, and curriculum for all ages, Canon Plus wants to help you grow stronger, together with your family. There might be enemies at the gates, but there's a feast on the table to strengthen you for the fight. We want the resources we produce to help you do the real work of cultural change, becoming a lighthouse in your own community, armed with courageous joy and a faith that burns hot and bright, especially when the world would rather keep you on a cute little dimmer switch. We don't have to wallow in the world's filth.
Moonlight, Best Picture.
You are gay.
We don't need to let our strength atrophy like numbed victims of some ungodly matrix, leaving our families unprotected and vulnerable. It's time for Christian fathers to stop being such cultural cuckolds, well-behaved Wonder Bread winners sitting by and paying for the world to assault their families with lies. Let's get strong and grow our families strong. Let's raise our kids to be the world's worst nightmares. Smart, secure, fearless, joyful, difficult to control, and quick to laugh at lies and nonsense. We're pushing back against the rising tide of sewage on our screens. We're pumping out antidotes to the world's poisons. But we can't do it alone. We need allies. You need allies. So consider this your invitation to join up and make things a little awkward for all our weaker brethren in church leadership.
It's not that we're against anything.
Who so badly want to be worldly cool kids. Help us build a streaming platform unlike any other. A platform that will challenge and strengthen Christians, mind, body, and soul, until this cultural tide begins to turn.
She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
And yes, this tide will turn. This ain't the Alamo. We're all gonna die, but we have no intention of losing. Canon Plus. You don't have to subscribe, but you do have to stop sucking.